Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
The heroes have been plenty in the Rangers' resurgence. In the games against the Dodgers, a few names come to mind. Rougned Odor returned to the big leagues Monday and sparked a win with 3 hits and 2 RBI. Robinson Chirinos walked off a win on Tuesday with a dramatic home run. And Sam Freeman had perhaps his best game as a Ranger yesterday, helping the bullpen secure their 3rd straight win. Tonight, they go for a home-and-home clean sweep of the Los Angeles Dodgers coming up next. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Uverse TV. A little haze over the city of Angels, and tonight the Rangers hope to turn the lights out on the Dodgers as they try to make it 4 straight over the Los Angelinos here at Dodger Stadium. Hey, welcome in everyone, along with Mark McLemore, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Thursday night of Rangers baseball. Rangers trying to do something that not many teams can boast of, and that's win 4 straight. And Matt, I don't know how in the world we could have thought this before the series started, but the Rangers have found ways to win the first 3 ball games.
Yeah, you're right, Buzz. And I think at the beginning of this home-and-home series against the Dodgers and the Rangers, I think a lot of people said, hey, if the Rangers split one at home and maybe split one in L.A., they'd be satisfied with that. But not those 31 guys down there in that Rangers dugout and clubhouse. They've come out, they've taken one game at a time, and you've had contributions from everybody. The bullpen, the starting lineup, the starting pitchers. They've done a tremendous job. And over the first 3 games, you see the numbers there. Rougned Odor has been a huge impact since getting back here to the big leagues Monday. Prince Fielder, 364 average, a home run last night, and a big double as well. And the starters have done a tremendous job. A 2.18 ERA. The bullpen's at 142. And Keone Keller got his first save last night. So they're doing everything they need to do, both offensively and defensively, to have won 3 games and put themselves in a position to sweep the Dodgers.
Solid fundamental baseball for the Rangers. Nothing more difficult than that. They've kept the big guys down for the Dodgers. Mitch Moreland back in the lineup tonight. He'll try and get things going again from the offensive side of things. We'll come back to Dodger Stadium with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Another gorgeous evening out here in Southern California. We'll come back to Dodger Stadium right after this timeout with the starting lineup and the first pitch. Venerable venue. Let's head down and check in with Emily Jones.
Gentlemen, a look now at some more of the history on display here at Dodger Stadium. The team moved here, of course, in 1962 from Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, and they brought with them the actual home plate from that final game in 1962. So you can imagine some of the cleats that graced that plate. Here is a 50th anniversary jersey, which celebrated the 50-year anniversary of the 1955 Dodgers championship team. And, of course, it was signed by all of the living members of that team who were in attendance that day. And then one of the really cool items on display here, a silver plate presented to Pee Wee Reese that was engraved by each one of his teammates to thank him for being such a good captain on that 1955 team, the year, of course, that they won the World Series. And how did they get all of this stuff here to LA? Well, in these giant travel trunks, which they now have on display here at Dodger Stadium. Guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. Lots of memorabilia here at this ballpark, and it's been open since 1962, and Dodgers have hosted World Series, rock concerts, just about everything you can think of in this ballpark. Zach Greinke on the hill, and Mark McLemore is going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers order that he will face.
All right, since you choose going to be in right field leading off, Rougned Odor moves into the two slot, and he'll play second base. Joey Gallo will bat third and play left field. Mitch Moreland will be the cleanup hitter and bat fourth, play first base. Elvis Andrews will be the shortstop batting fifth. Leonis Martin will be hitting sixth, playing center field. Robinson Chirinos will do the catching and bat seventh. Hanser Alberto will bat eighth and play third base, and Anthony Renato will be pitching and batting ninth.
And that lineup will have its hands full tonight as 31-year-old Zach Greinke is on the hill. He's been pitching in tough luck, no run support whatsoever. But Greinke, with 4 outstanding pitches, the former Cy Young Award winner, walks very few, and he makes hitters swing early in the count. He is a master of the strike zone. Greinke at 5-2 doesn't tell you nearly as much as the 1.95 ERA tells you in 13 starts. He just has not had the run support, particularly in this ballpark, from his Dodger teammates. Oh, Greinke is set to get things underway. Shin-Soo Choo will lead it off. Rangers come in still in second place in the American League West. They are 2.5 games behind the Houston Astros. First pitch to Choo is a fastball for strike one. Rangers have won their last 3. They have won 5 out of 6. They are 21-14 on the road. That is the most wins in the major leagues away from home. 0-1 pitch. Slow tapper to first. Gonzalez, a little underhand flip. And Greinke covers for out number 1. And we'll take a look at the rest of the Dodger defense. You already saw Adrian Gonzalez handling things at first. The rest of the infield has Kendrick at second, Rollins at short. Alberto Callaspo, the start at third base. Andre Ethier back in left field. Jock Peterson in center. Yasiel Puig is in right. And Yasmani Grandal is catching tonight for Zach Greinke. One up and one away. And next will be Rougned Odor. Rougned moving up to the number 2 spot against the right-hander Greinke. Rougned a 177 average overall. But since coming back into the lineup, he has been extremely effective. This is his 3rd game to play since coming back from AAA. He has gone 4 for 6 with 4 runs driven in his 2 starts. Something off at the strike.
Yeah, he's still been aggressive at the plate. You know, he still likes the high fastball. Last night he swung at one and laid off the next one in that same at bat. But he just seems more confident, and that's really what it is. The confidence is there. He just feels good about himself after going back down to AAA and hitting .350 for the month that he was there. So I think he's got that aggressiveness back, and then also just making those mental adjustments, just saying, hey, this is what I need to do. Here's the situation, and not making it too big.
Keep things simple.
Keep it simple.
Chopper right back to Greinke. He's an excellent athlete. Showed you good reactions there. And Odor, here's a hard second out here in the first. Next will be Joey Gallo. I want to correct one thing I said about the Astros. The Astros won this afternoon already. And so the Rangers now are 3 games back as they enter play here tonight. Another look at Odor's shot back to the box. Well, Houston on fire. They have won 5 straight ball games now. Rangers treading water, but not managing to catch up at all.
Well, the good thing about it, they were able to make up 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
You know, over the month or the couple of weeks that the Astros weren't playing well, and now the Astros are back to doing what they've been doing most of the season. But hey, they've made up some significant ground.
Yep.
They're not 9.5 back.
Gallo pulls it on the ground to Gonzalez at first, and that'll do it. 3 ground balls, 3 outs. Greinke sends the Rangers down in order. After half inning of play, the Rangers nothing. The Dodgers coming up on Fox Sports Southwest. Going to tell you about the Amica Los Angeles Dodgers lineup.
All right, well, Jock Peterson will lead off for the Dodgers. Yasiel Puig will bat second. Adrian Gonzalez will be batting third. Howie Kendrick will be the cleanup hitter. Yasmani Grandal will bat fifth. Andre Ethier will hit sixth. Alberto Callaspo will hit seventh. Jimmy Rollins will bat eighth. And Zach Greinke will hit ninth.
And they will be facing the 25-year-old right-hander Anthony Renato. Our progressive scouting report on the 6'7" right-hander. Just called up today from AAA Round Rock, 7-1 in 11 starts down at AAA. Quite a roll. He has been very consistent. Command is the key for him coming back to the major leagues. This is his second start with the Rangers this year. First one didn't go so well against the Angels back in April. Hopes that he can bring the same kind of command into the big league game that he had in AAA. Jock Peterson fouling off the next pitch, and that evens the count now at a ball and a strike.
Yeah, but as the command, obviously that's what it's going to take. You can throw hard, you can, have a great pitch here, great pitch there, but you've got to be able to command and throw it for strikes, and not strikes down the middle of the plate. So that's going to be a big key for Renato tonight, the command and location.
Well, Anthony had a little better than a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio at AAA, and that's the kind of thing that he needs to be able to bring with him when he packs his bags and comes to the big leagues. And hopefully he unpacks them for good one of these times through. Fastball inside, and the count moves to 3-1 to Jock Peterson. Peterson leading off, trying to get aboard. Yasiel Puig, the right fielder, waits in the on-deck circle. Rangers now shifting with the count into a favored hitter's count. They will move way over to the right. 3-1 pitch from Renato. Pretty good fastball. It looks like his fastball, whatever the reading is, that was 92. It's going to play a little faster than that to the hitter. Looks like he's got some arms and legs coming at you.
Yeah, that's a huge distraction for a hitter. When you're facing a tall, lanky guy like that, you're going to see a lot of arms and legs and maybe even a little bit of that glove if he gets it out there far enough. So that makes that 91, 92 look a little bit more like 94, 95, especially, and I can't tell just yet, but especially if he can hide that and throw a little bit across his body. It makes it tough.
Yeah, the big right-hander heaves a big sigh, has the sign he wants. Payoff pitch, and pop foul again. Anthony Renato has the distinction of being named the International League or AAA Pitcher of the Year last year. And prior to that, the AA Pitcher of the Year. And he was with the Boston Red Sox organization. He has had a lot of minor league success prior to coming over to the Rangers. Foul back again. Matter of fact, Renato coming into this year was a 35-game winner in just about 3 years at the minor league level. 35-18 with a 3.46 ERA. So there's plenty there to work with. It's a matter of putting it together at the major leagues. And this young man still got a lot to do. Got him swinging. Boy, upstairs, and Peterson, again, pretty aggravated that he swung through a pitch.
Nice fastball up to the zone by Renato. And he just went after Peterson, throwing him fastball after fastball. That was right at the top of the strike zone. Peterson can't get up there and get it. See that deception? Straight four-seamer going right there after him. Gotta like that.
Not a whole lot of intimidation being had by Anthony Renato. He's pretty comfortable.
He looks very comfortable. He's going to use what he has, and he's got a pretty good fastball.
And Yasiel Puig saw Anthony's other pitch, and that's a very good curveball. Puig, a 317 hitter. He hit in the leadoff spot last night. Check swing foul, and the count goes to 0-2. Puig back off the disabled list now for about 2 weeks. Dodgers happy to have him back in the lineup. He's been a 359 hitter since coming off the disabled list the 6th of June. Shoots one the other way by Moreland down the first baseline. That's extra bases. Jew over to play the carom. Puig not stopping at second. He will be in with a stand-up triple.
Puig takes this ball and slices it down the first baseline between Moreland and the foul line. And it gets out there. You got the outfield playing Puig straight up to slight pull, so it took Chu just a little while to get over to that ball, and he's got to be careful with this ball going down in the corner. Bounces there, comes and get it. Not much he can do there. And with Puig's speed, he ends up at third base with a triple.
Well, 1 out, 3 bagger puts Puig at third, and now the Rangers, in what figures to be a low-scoring opportunity against Zach Greinke, will pull the infield in here in the first inning with Adrian Gonzalez at the plate, and Gonzalez wraps one, but right at Mitch Moreland. How about that? There you go. How many times in the last couple of weeks has that happened? The Rangers have pulled the infield in and had a ground ball hit right at an infielder.
Good
Saving
pitching.
a few runs.
Good pitching.
That's right.
Making a quality pitch. Gonzalez being aggressive, taking that first fastball down and in. Hitting a couple hopper right there at Mitch Moreland.
Mitch, the right guy at the right spot at the right time, and Adrian Gonzalez a hard over. 2 outs now. Howie Kendrick will come up. And Renato fires strike one. Kendrick, a .283 average, 6 home runs, 29 driven in. You'll remember last night, he was the guy that Keone Kela struck out to end the ball game. And at that point in time, Kendrick was representing the tying run. Line to right, but right at Chu. And Anthony Renato works around the 1 out triple. He leaves Puig stationed at third base. And that will do it in the first. No runs, a hit, 1 left after 1. We are scoreless in Los Angeles.
Here at Dodger Stadium, and the Rangers offense has experienced a resurgence of late, and center fielder Leonis Martin has been a big part of that.
Been watching my video in the past, and that's helping me a little bit, and try to keep the concentration all the time in the home plate, that's all. And I got no problem with my defense, but I got to do something with my bat. That's what I'm trying to do. Try to keep the concentration, trying to put my plan on it, and, try to swing a strike. That's what helped me a little bit.
And Leonis starting to see the results of those action plans he's putting into place. And he says he's always, as you mentioned, had that defense, and that's what's carried him through those slumps at the plate. But now he's kind of all putting everything together, which is kind of the same thing as this offense is experiencing as a whole, kind of everything clicking. It's happening for Leonis personally as well, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. Mitch Moreland letting loose on that swing, and the count is a ball and 2 strikes. Mitch leading things off, hitting at .307. Didn't get into last night's ball game, and Jeff Bannister had mentioned before this series in Los Angeles started, he was going to split the two games between Prince Fielder and Mitch, giving each one of them a start. And now with Kyle Blanks on the disabled list, you don't have much of a choice. Mitch Moreland down swinging. That is strikeout number 1 for Zach Greinke.
Shortstop number 1.
Folks, the Texas Rangers treasure chest is filled with another great offer for a limited time. $5 tickets are available for the game with the Angels coming up Sunday, July 5th. Head to TexasRangers.com/treasure chest to buy those tickets. But hurry, this offer expires at 5 p.m. on Monday. Here's Elvis Andrus, Rangers shortstop. He shoots one out of play down the right side. It is 0-1. Elvis a .237 average. Took an over in last night's ball game. But his game as a whole has been rounding into pretty good shape as time has gone on this season. He's had as many at-bats as anybody on the Rangers staff against Zach Greinke. He's gone 4 for 14. 0-1 pitch. Tried to check his swing, and he did. 1-1. First base umpire Jim Joyce, by the way, making that call. Greinke to the line, back to the plate. Pop foul, back behind home plate. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Elvis waiting. Greinke reading the signs from Yasmani Grandal. Way inside, jackknifing out of the way. Elvis has the count now at 2-2. Elvis in a little bit of a downturn offensively, though, 2 for his last 11 times to the plate. And he has been pretty productive RBI-wise. 24 RBI at this juncture. A little late swing and a miss is Greinke. He can mess with a hitter's head. And he kind of messed with Elvis there. Strikeout number 2.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of things that he can throw strikes with. Inside part of the plate, outside part of the plate. You see him sink it there on him. Not a whole lot he can do. With 2 strikes especially, that ball's down at the bottom of the zone, and it looks like a fastball for a strike. You go to swing at it, and it's at your ankles all of a sudden. So that's a tough pitch to lay off, especially with 2 strikes.
Now Leonis Martin takes ball 1 inside. Martin an 0 for 4 last night, and he is 0 for his last 11 times to the plate. That's in stark contrast, though, to the pretty hot streak he had been on, a .317 average over the last 18 ball games. 2 balls, no strikes.
Because when you're facing a guy for the first time, you don't really know how he's going to pitch you. See Greinke start Martin off with a fastball in, then he goes with a fastball away. Something off speed, took a little something off of that. So now you've got 3 pitches in 3 different spots. As a hitter, you're thinking, okay, what is he going to throw me next? Really, because you have no idea. So you've got to pick one side of the plate and maybe even a pitch and say, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
That Fox track illustrating just what you're talking about, Mac. Ground ball out to Kendrick. And that is another 1-2-3 inning for Zach Greinke. Rangers have gone down in the first 2 innings in order. After 1.5, we are scoreless in Los Angeles. is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Geico. 15 minutes can save you 50% or more on car insurance. A nice crowd again on hand, a late arriving crowd, as is the custom out here in Los Angeles. Getting set to go to the bottom of the second inning. And the first pitch to Yasmani Grandal, the switch-hitting catcher, is high for ball one. Grandal, a .277 average, 8 home runs, 23 driven in. Renato back to him and gets that fastball in at the knees. A ball and a strike. Rangers in an overshift with Grandal up there from the left side. Changeup like floated in. The Rougned Odor 30-35 feet out into right field, and Elvis Andrus got 15 feet to the first base side of second. High and tight, 2-2.
That's a pretty difficult thing for Odor out there. You know, it looks like, hey, a regular ground ball to him. If Grandal hits ground ball to him, it looks like it's routine, but it's really not. Especially it's going to go from grass to dirt back to grass, and he can't afford to bobble it or anything. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to mess with being back that deep.
And there's a big hook that just got the top of the strike zone. Grandal didn't think so. But the most important guy up there was Marvin Hudson. He did, and that's the punch out. Now let's take a look at the Ranger defense, delivered to you by the New Braunfels Convention and Visitors Bureau. Outfield this evening, Gallo in left once again. Martin in center, Chu in right. Mitch Moreland at first, Odor and Andrews up the middle. Hanser Alberto at third, and Robinson Chirinos behind the plate. Second strikeout of the evening for Anthony Renato. One gone. Andre Ethier is up there. Fastball, that didn't miss by much, but it's 1-0. Ethier, also a .277 average. He's at 9 home runs and 27 driven in. Towering pop-up. Odor and Moreland. Odor angling toward the line and stays with it in fair territory to make the catch for out number 2. Rougned seeing that ball way up there.
Yeah, that's a tough play, a lot tougher than you realize because it's almost twilight and you can lose the ball even in this sky, but Ruby stayed right with it. You see him go to the one hand, which I love. That glove is right next to his eyes, and that's what you want to see. You want that ball to come as close as your eyes as you can possibly get. Don't put the glove in front of your eyes and block your view.
You're going to have all kinds of Little League coaches writing in nasty letters about, I tell my kids to catch with 2 hands.
You know, and I've had this discussion with many coaches and a few pitchers, and it's great. And I always go back to, okay, what's the history of why you catch the ball with 2 hands?
Right.
And people don't realize, well, back when baseball first was invented, gloves were all flat.
Yeah.
They had the pancake glove, so you had to use 2 hands to catch the ball. But over the years, the glove, all the equipment has evolved. And now you don't need 2 hands to keep a ball in your glove. That I've never seen, as many games as I've seen, I've never seen that ball pop out of a glove and the guy catch it with the open hand.
That's a good point.
So in my mind, it just gets in the way. You'll see a lot of kids, and you'll even see some big leaguers, when they go up with 2 hands, they'll put both hands in front of their eyes.
Yep.
What are you looking at? You're looking at the back of the glove.
That's right.
So I've always taught kids, especially my boys, you catch the ball, you put that glove to the side of your head, and you catch the ball whether you extend your hand or not. You catch the ball with one hand right there. It's going to go in that glove, and it's going to stay.
Good explanation. Meanwhile, Alberto Callaspo drew a walk on a 3-1 pitch. And Renato now will work to Jimmy Rollins.
So I'm sure I'll have a lot of comments on my Twitter.
No, that makes a lot of sense when you explain it like that. It makes all the sense in the world. And you're right, the advancement of the equipment changes how you catch things.
I've had a running thing with Jamie Moyer when we played together. We played together for about 7 or 8 years. And whenever there was a pop-up to me, he'd run over to me hollering, Mac, 2 hands, 2 hands. And I'd catch the ball with one and flip it back to him.
Rollins going after that first pitch. It's a towering fly ball to right. Chu underneath it makes the grab, and that'll do it. So the Walker left stranded. 2 left aboard so far for the Dodgers. We'll go to the 3rd inning. Rangers nothing, Dodgers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Will receive a Prince Fielder bobblehead, courtesy of Dr. Pepper and Brookshire's. Don't miss the first bobblehead giveaway of the season. Just head to TexasRangers.com/tickets, or you can call 972-RANGERS to get your tickets for that ball game. Robinson Chirinos leading off. There's Prince getting a seat tonight to begin things. Last night, of course, Fielder with that big home run and a double. Chirinos taking outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Robinson 207 with the average. 6 home runs, 24 RBI. On base percentage climbing a bit of late too. Robinson has been on a bit of an offensive tear. This one's popped up down the first baseline. Gonzalez backpedaling, and in front of Puig makes the grab for out number 1. Now before Hanser Alberto steps in, let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. Thank you, Dana. Boy, they are hot, smoking hot.
Played some really good baseball, and who would have thought they'd be leading the league in home runs?
Yeah. Hanser Alberto swinging through a fastball from Greinke. Yeah, they're not hitting very well as a team average-wise, but it seems like every time they make solid contact, the ball leaves the ballpark. Talking about the Houston Astros. 0-1 pitch. Greinke with that slower and slowest curveball. 0-2.
Greinke's very deceiving against right-handers or left-handers. You look at that ERA, you look at his record, and you just have to throw the record out of the window. The ERA is what tells you the story. He's not giving up much. ERA under 2. He's very deceiving. Got a nice fastball, nice complement of off-speed pitches. And he pitches with confidence out there.
Yeah, he sure does. Opponents hitting a grand total of 214 against him this year. That's 12th in the National League. Breaking ball strays wide of the mark, and the count goes to 2-2. Greinke also with that 1.95 ERA. That's good for 5th in Major League Baseball, and averaging less than 1 hit and walk per inning. Foul tip, and Greinke has gotten his 3rd strikeout. Anthony Renato coming up. And speaking of Zach Greinke, our Kubota Power Stats will tell you one of only 3 pitchers in Major League Baseball history to win a Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger, and a Cy Young. And oddly enough, the other 2 were both Dodgers, Fernando Valenzuela and Orel Hershiser. And not to confuse, that he did not win those in 1 year. There's Fernando.
That'd be tremendous.
We're in the Spanish broadcast, Spanish radio out here for the Dodgers. Anthony Renato taking a strike, and it's 1-1. Anthony in his career swinging the bat 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. He is not hit at all at AAA. He hasn't been in a ball game where the pitcher was required to hit. 2-1. Anthony played his college ball at LSU. He's down to 3 years with the LSU Tigers. Took a pretty healthy cut.
Now, Buzz, do all pitchers like to hit?
I think so. Yeah. I think every pitcher, if you're talking about what their fantasy is to be a home run hitter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just like a lot of position players think they can pitch.
Oh.
I said a lot, not all. And Renato gone as Greinke has struck out 4 of the first 9 that he's faced, and he's retired the first 9 Rangers he's faced. 3 up, 3 down after 2.5. We are scoreless at Dodger Stadium.
In LA, Anthony Renato back on the hill for the Texas Rangers. This is his second start for the club. His first one not so memorable, but he says he is a different pitcher just a few months later.
Looking back on it, having a month or 2 to reflect and everything was, just trying to make an impression too much, and rather than just going out and having fun and pitching the game, that I've been able to pitch my whole life. And, when I simplify things into just trying to win a game or, go a certain distance, for the team or whatever I need to do, things have really settled in for me, and I think that's the approach I'm going to take. Try to have some fun with it and look forward to, pitching in Dodger Stadium.
So he lasted just an inning and 2/3, giving up 6 runs. His first time out, he's already bettered that in his second start. He says also something that helps is seeing so many familiar faces with all the young guys who have been called up in the first couple of months of this season. But the laid-back approach seems to be working here, at least in the early goings tonight, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. Yeah, he's facing his counterpart, Zach Greinke, and Renato going fastball, curveball, and he has Greinke down in the hole with no balls, 2 strikes. Greinke, a pretty good hitter. 185 overall average with an RBI, but he swings the bat well. It's the breaking ball out to short, and Elvis will take care of it. 1 gone. Now back to the top of the order, and how about our Lowe's never stop improving feature? Talking about Elvis Andrus at shortstop. Last 19 ball games, Elvis has committed one error and one only. That's the second fewest in the American League, tied for the second fewest. 4 3/4 chances, or 2/3 chances per game. That's the most in the American League. Previous 46 games, 11 errors. That was tied for the most, or second most. And the same number of chances. Again, most in the American League for Elvis.
That's a great turnaround for Elvis. His first few weeks of the season, he didn't look his normal self and obviously wasn't playing his normal type of defense. But whatever it is, whether it's, he got himself refocused, made some adjustments with his feet, because typically when you're making errors, it all starts with the feet. He made the adjustments that he needed to make, and he's just been rock solid at shortstop. And, if you're going to be on a winning ball club, you've got to have some solid defense up the middle.
We talk, Mac, about guys going into slumps, pitching slumps, hitting slumps. There is a slump for fielding, right?
Oh, there's no question. You can get into some bad habits with your feet. And like I said, a lot of times, or the majority of the time, it starts with your feet.
Jock Peterson gives it a ride, but it's going to stay in the ballpark. Shin-Soo Choo right on the edge of the warning track. And that is out number 2 here in the third inning.
You can definitely go into a slump defensively. And, you come out and do the same thing that you would if you were in a hitting slump, or if you weren't pitching well in games. You go to the bullpen, do your side work, and try and make those adjustments. You take extra batting practice if you're not swinging well. And defensively, you try and start breaking it down and just go back to the basics. You start with your feet, your hands, your positioning. All of those things come into play. But you come out and you take early ground balls and just try to get that rhythm back, because with everything in baseball, it's about rhythm and timing.
That's interesting. You'd say with fielding, too, that you go back to the basics. And I think we tend to forget that, overlook that as a reason the guy's in a slump. It typically is something very basic that's not happening the proper way.
Very basic, very simple. Sometimes it may take somebody else to point it out to you, whether it's another fielder who's very familiar with you, one of your coaches, just somebody saying, hey, you're not getting in the right spot when you're going down to field that ball. So, this is a perfect example. I know Adrian Beltre, he'll see it. He'll say some things when he needs to a guy, and it may be 1 or 2 words. Just something little, something very subtle that can get you back on track.
And I would imagine Adrian's gone through enough of those mini slumps in his fielding life that he probably recognizes it quicker than a lot of guys.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. The first thing is recognition. That's half the battle. And then the other 50% is being able to make the adjustment that you need to make. A lot of times when you see guys out there, making mistakes, whether it's hitting or fielding or even pitching, they know exactly what it is that they're doing wrong.
Right.
It's just not that easy to fix it all the time.
Yasiel Puig a little perturbed with the fastballs high and tight. Well, Renato tries another one a little bit lower. And Puig, if you're going to hit 320 or whatever he is going to end up hitting, you can plan on getting the ball on your fists every once in a while.
You would think so.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't bother you as much as it seems to bother him every time. I kind of like it when it bothers guys when that happens.
And that breaking ball didn't quite make it to home plate. It's 3-2. And I'm sure the guys on the opposing bench probably not taking the emotive looks by Yasiel Puig with the same vein that he means them. I wouldn't swear to it, but
I think you're right.
now the payoff pitch to center field. That ball is going to hang up. Orleanos Martin, matter of fact, he had to reach up and grab it. Well, Puig pretty strong, and that'll do it for the Dodgers. They are sent down in order for the first time tonight. So Anthony Renato getting the job done. After 3, no score. for a rare weekday matinee that's coming up on Thursday, June 25th. Get to the ballpark early, and you'll also enjoy a wildlife education presentation from the Dallas Zoo. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets or call 972-RANGERS extension 3 for special pricing on groups of 20 or more. Now, Shin-Soo Choo leading off here in the fourth inning. Rangers looking for their first base runner against Zach Greinke tonight. Choo tapped out to first as he led things off here this evening, and he takes high. 2 balls and no strikes. Choo in his last 4 ball games, just 2 for 15 with 4 strikeouts. Greinke's 2-0. That's line to right. There's a base hit. Choo getting a pitch down out over the plate. And he is aboard to start off the fourth inning.
Number 12, Odor.
You know, I really like Choo in that leadoff spot. This is a guy that can take pitches. He can hit the ball with power, hit the ball with average. He's not afraid to take a strike or two. He can work the pitcher. And he'll take his walks, believe me. He'll take his walks to get to first base. And I think he's a solid leadoff hitter. Maybe not your prototypical type leadoff hitter, a guy that can steal bases and run really well. But hey, he gets on base, and that's what it's about.
Sure. And he has enough speed. You can do a few things with it, hit and run or something like that. Or, you know, it's not like he's going to clog the bases up by any means. It's a chopper by Odor, foul past the diving Adrian Gonzalez. No, Choo back to first. Odor hit a hard one-hopper right back to Zach Greinke his first time up. Rube Dennis, we talked about, the club's opening day second baseman. And after hitting just 144 in 29 games with the Rangers, they decided it was best for Rugnet and for the ball club, but primarily for Rugnet to head back to AAA and get the work in that would turn him around. Chopping the other way. Great stop by Callaspo. He'll have no play. What an outstanding job by Callaspo, though, to keep that ball from getting down the left field line for extra bases.
Beautiful play. That could very easily be runners at second and third base if that ball gets by Callaspo down the left field line. See a fastball away off the plate. And Rookie goes out there, gets it, hits it down that line, but Callaspo playing way off the line, still able to get over there to it and keep it to just a single as opposed to a double.
So after Greinke retired the first 9 Rangers that he faced, he's given up back-to-back base hits. First and second, nobody out. Joey Gallo, who grounded out to first in the first, steps in. Greinke a check of second and misses down and away. Gallo, a large home run, 439 feet last night, but it had some hang time. I think it came down with ice on it from re-entry. Clayton Kershaw, remember a shot we had of him going into the dugout after that inning, very upset with himself. And let's take a look now at the Ford leaderboard for tonight. Home runs in June. The leader, Albert Pujols, having a great month of June with 8 of them. Bautista, Trout, and Valbuena all with 6. And then Joey Gallo and Manny Machado. A couple of young sluggers with 5 apiece. Joey, one of just 3 Rangers that have ever had as many as 5 home runs in their first 14 Major League games. Tops that one foul. AT&T U-verse Rewind. We'll take you back to last night. Clayton Kershaw trying to get that slider down and away, and all he got was up and away. Way up and away. Joey Gallo into the bleachers in right field, and that's probably one that Clayton Kershaw's not going to forget.
No, he's not going to forget that one. I'm sure Joey Gallo's not going to forget it either.
Called strike, and it's 2-2.
Look at how Greinke's throwing Joey Gallo. He's trying to stay away from him, down in the zone, get him to swing at his pitch. And that's very tough to hit. Very tough to hit. That last pitch on the outside part of the plate and ran away from Joey Gallo.
Saw that note on Gallo, just 3 for his last 18 times at the plate. Those 3, though, have all left the ballpark. Got him swinging. Well, Greinke gets his 5th strikeout, and that's a big out because now there's 1 away with runners still at first and second. Mitch Moreland coming up.
Greinke, being that veteran pitcher, knows exactly what he wants to do. He wants to stay away from Gallo. Gallo's proven that he can hit the ball out of the ballpark if you mess around and make a mistake middle into him, whether it's a fastball or a breaking ball. So Greinke, being the veteran pitcher that he is, he's understanding, hey, this is how I need to try and get this guy out. I need to stay away from him. If he's going to hit the ball out of the ballpark, he's going to have to hit it the other way. And not that Gallo can't. I am sure he can. But he's going to have to show that he can before I think Greinke comes inside.
Right. Well, 1 away. Here's Mitch, and Moreland struck out the first time that he faced Greinke. A little quick inside move just to keep Chu honest at second base. Kind of scared Shin-Soo more than anything else. He was darting back the bag like, whoa, what kind of a move is that? Moreland a 3.05 average as he awaits the first offering. And if Greinke decides to stay out there with Moreland, Mitch will take it the other way. He has been doing that this whole year because of the good position he's been in to swing the bat. Now, Mitch has talked about that. He said, I'm not trying to exclusively hit the ball the other way, but I'm more than willing to, when it's out there, go ahead and drive it that way. And I think, Mac, that's one thing we noticed last year with Mitch, that he wasn't able to drive the ball, even though he hit a lot of balls to left field. They weren't driven the way he's driving them now.
No, not at all. And, it was more like he was just trying to punch the ball the other way. And that is not what he's doing this year. Yeah. He is absolutely driving the ball the opposite way.
Pulls this one into the hole, cut off by Kendrick. They get the sliding Odor at second. Nice play by Howie Kendrick to get the middleman. As Odor retired, on to third goes Chu. At first now, Mitch Moreland. There are 2 outs for Elvis Andrus.
Number 1, Elvis Andrus.
Mitch got a ball out, was almost able to pull it into the hole, but Howie Kendrick going to his left does a nice spin throw to get that lead run, Odor at second base, that lead runner. And keep that force in play, even though it's 2 outs. Makes it a little bit easier for that infield to make a tough play if they have to.
Pretty good up the middle. The Dodgers have gotten this year with the addition of Howie Kendrick and Jimmy Rollins. A couple of veteran players. Rollins probably a step slower than he had been, but still very solid. Elvis drives one to right field. Puig retreating, still going back. That makes the catch as he backpedals onto the single. Well, the Rangers had something going, 2 aboard with nobody out. They leave them stranded. After 3.5, Rangers nothing, Dodgers nothing. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among midsize cars. Now the sun setting into the marine layer out over the Pacific. Here from Los Angeles, and scoreless ball game as the Dodgers come to bat in the bottom of the fourth inning. Adrian Gonzalez starting things off, and Anthony Renato deals high for ball one. Gonzalez, in the biggest at bat of this game so far for Anthony Renato, came up with Yasiel Puig at third and one out in the first inning. Rangers had their infield in, and Gonzalez went after the first pitch and grounded sharply right at Mitch Moreland. That enabled Anthony Renato to work around the one-out triple and keep this ball game scoreless. 1-1 pitch. A big curveball that hangs inside. Gonzalez in this series against the Rangers has not done much. Just 1 for 14. That is saying something. When you're able to handcuff a guy that is this good of a hitter, you had to have had a very good game plan and good execution of that game plan.
You're absolutely right, Buzz. That execution, the game plan, making sure they make pitches when they need to in certain situations. And, you know, to have Gonzalez 1 for 14, that's exactly what they've done. They've executed that game plan almost to perfection. He's come up with some big situations with runners in scoring position, and doesn't have much to show for it.
Right center field, Chu on the run, and Shin-Soo Choo able to track that down. Good jump by the right fielder, able to get into the alley quickly. Gonzalez is retired for out number one.
You got Martin playing over to left center. Chu playing probably straight up. He had a long way to go to get it, but had plenty of time to get there. Nice play by Chu. This is a tough time of night, too. It's starting to get twilight, so anything in the air can be very difficult for anybody to see.
One out, Howie Kendrick takes that big hook from Anthony Renato for strike one. Kendrick lined to right field to end the Dodger first inning. 0 for 1 tonight, hitting at .282. Off the end of the bat foul, it's 0-2. Boy, Anthony Renato, after that triple in the first inning by Puig, then getting out of that jam has been just nails since then. He's given one walk, but that's about it. The 0-2. Up the middle, off of Renato's hand, and he fell down. As he was coming back down, he came down awkwardly on his left foot. And I think he might have rolled his ankle on the side of that mound. It's going to be a base hit for Howie Kendrick, but Kevin Harmon, Ranger athletic trainer, and Mike Maddox, Jeff Bannister all out there. Watch him come back down. Right there on that left ankle, rolled it over going down the side slope.
Right there. Yikes.
Ow.
That's not a good feeling. That's his landing foot, too.
Yeah. Oh, when you're 6'7", you got a lot of leverage coming down on that ankle. And let's hope that Anthony's okay. I would think the hitters want to make sure that ankle's okay. If it's a landing foot, they don't want him slipping around out there.
No, they don't. And I think, a lot of times when you roll your ankle like that, it scares you more than it hurts you, because you know what can happen when you roll your ankle like that. So it looks like that's the case. Probably just scared him a little bit more than it hurt. Now, I'm sure it hurt, but I think he's gotten over that.
So Kendrick aboard with the infield single. That's the second Dodger hit of the night. Yasmani Grandal, the catcher, will come to the plate now. Grandal called out on strikes as he led off the second against Renato. One ball, no strikes. Again, the Rangers into an overshift, but with Kendrick at first, Rougned Odor can't play in shallow right field as he does against left-handers with nobody on. He's playing at a normal double play depth, but right between first and second. 1 ball, no strikes. Yasmani Grandal. Anthony Renato back on top of the hill, getting ready to deal his 50th pitch of the night. It's pop foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. Grandal did not start last night's ball game. Came on defensively late in the ball game. Grandal brings a modest 2-game hitting streak in. He has not hit well here at Dodger Stadium this year, average-wise, but he's been on base nearly 38% of the time. Fouled away again. It's 1-2. Grandal in LA this year, just a .224 home average. That's in 26 games and a .372 on base percentage. So he's taking the walk. There's the breakdown for you. .329 on the road. Now Renato with the 1-2 pitch. Call, strike 3. Grandal was frozen the first time. This time, chirogenics took over.
#316.
Grandal had no answer for that. And that's one of those pitches where you know as soon as it leaves his hand, I can't pull the trigger. We talked about it last night. I can't do anything about it, but watch it. I know I'm going to be walking back to the dugout, and I'm hoping the umpire is going to miss it.
Yeah, let's hope he misses it. That's right. Yeah. Yasmani Grandal's hope was not answered as Marvin Hudson rang him up again. Second time that he's been caught looking at a 3rd strike. 2 gone. Here's Andre Ethier. And ball 1 is high and outside. Ethier popped out to second base his first time up there. Seen Anthony Renato snap off some of those curveballs, especially to Grandal, the one that struck him out. For 2 years running, he was voted to have the best curveball in the Boston organization coming up. And I think you get a pretty good idea why. That thing is a severe downer. Talk about a 12-6 hammer. They're going from 12 o'clock on the clock straight down to 6 o'clock. And that's exactly what Anthony's able to do.
Those were the tough ones to hit. If it had a little tilt to it, that made it easier, especially for a switch hitter like me, because it's coming into me. But that 12-6, too much, couldn't do anything but watch those.
1-1 pitch coming. The bad part is for a pitcher, and maybe the good news is for the hitters, those are tough to get called strikes on. They don't stay in the strike zone all that long.
I should have told the umpires when I was hitting. I told them that.
No, you don't find a lot of guys that have a 12-6 that are able to throw a lot of called strikes, and they really don't want to. They want guys swinging at that thing when it's out of the strike zone. 2-1 to Ethier. Kendrick drawing a throw to first base. Anthony Renato, the New Jersey native, working in a scoreless 4th inning here tonight. 2 hits for each ball club this evening. Twelfth among active players is Andre Ethier, and with that .303 career average against right-handed pitching. Three balls and a strike now, and all of a sudden, Anthony Renato looking at 2 men on for Alberto Callaspo if he loses Andre Ethier. There's Callaspo in the on-deck circle. Way up there down the right field line, into the corner. Shin-Soo Choo squinting up into the twilight and able to stay with it right in front of the 330 sign, and that'll do it. No runs a hit, 1 left. We've finished 4. Remains the Rangers nothing and the Dodgers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
A very, very special evening for some very, very special Rangers fans, part of the Just Keep Living Kids organization that we've gotten to know so well around the Texas Rangers organization. And the kids from Pinkston High School in Dallas got to come here to Dodger Stadium to a game. I've got Cheese and Nick here with me. The weather tried to curtail you guys, but you were determined to get here. How's it been so far?
It's been really great. It's an unforgettable experience. It was my first time on a plane. I was a bit nervous, but it came out great. So lately it's been so good.
Okay, good. Nick, how did you guys get this fantastic trip?
Well, we had to do a lot of competitions against other JKL schools. It was really hard, but we overcame it and we wanted the team, so it was really nice.
Okay, and Cheese, tell me about the Just Keep Living Foundation, how you guys work, how it operates, what it does for you guys.
So the Just Keep Living program is a high school program for students all over the nation. There's 3 in the Metroplex, and it focuses on health, fitness, and gratitude. We do anything from community service. We do lots of running, and we get a lot of knowledge over how to eat well and how to put that into our lifestyle.
And the Rangers a big part of this, and how has it benefited you, Nick?
Well, I've been able to run lots of half marathons, and my passion is running, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without the Texas Rangers.
And obviously a very cool trip here to Dodger Stadium. Cheese and Nick, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the game, all right?
Woo! Thank you.
I'll be like Jim Knox. Let's ask for a Go Rangers as we send it back up to the guys. 1, 2, 3.
Go Rangers!
There we go, guys.
Only thing that was missing that was the good day, mate.
And good day to you guys.
There you
good
go.
Day.
Thank you.
Good day, mate.
Thank you. Now,
they don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but if it makes you guys happy, that's all that matters.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Thank you. Now 1 out with the Leonard Martin strikeout, and now Robinson Chirinos will face Zach Greinke. Greinke, by the way, now a half dozen strikeouts through the first 4 and a third here tonight. Chirinos a pop out to first. Showed bunt, and Greinke hopping off the mound, but took it for ball 1. Robinson now 5 for his last 16 times to the plate. You've seen his batting average go from 192 up to his present 206. In for a strike, 1-1. Robinson making his 43rd start behind the plate for the Rangers. In his first 42, the club has gone 23-19. Of course, he had that big walk-off home run on Tuesday against the Dodgers. Josh Raven served it up in Arlington. Fastball inside and got him.
Yikes.
That ball really tailing in on Robinson Chirinos, and looked like he tried to get out of the way, and the ball just kept following him.
Yeah, a target on him on that one.
Have to wait for the replay. It looked like it might have got him on the inside of that right arm, like around the crazy bone, around your ulnar nerve. No, wrist.
That does not feel good. You see that movement he's got, that late movement. You've seen it a lot already tonight, but typically against left-handers, that time he tried to run it in on Robbie and got him right on the wrist.
How about that? Most hit by pitches in the American, in baseball, as a matter of fact. Rangers with 39 hit by pitches this year. Now Chirinos talking with Hector Ortiz down there at first, and Matt Lucero, the assistant trainer, is going to go out and make sure he's okay. Where that got him, there's not a whole lot of meat on the bones there.
There's none. Just pretty much skin and bones, and that especially the wrist, and it was his right wrist. So it's probably not going to feel too well the rest of the night. Hopefully it won't swell up on him.
Yeah, I guess the big question would be, can he grip both the bat and the ball? That's his throwing hand and his top hand on the bat.
We're going to see here over the next few minutes. See the bruise right there.
Yeah, already.
And for everybody at home that sees Robinson's nice nail job there, the fluorescent orange.
He didn't get a manicure.
Did not get a manicure. Nothing went wrong. You know, you'll see a lot of catchers do that, put something fluorescent on there so it helps the pitchers see their signs. And the middle infielders, for that matter.
Well, Robinson going to stay in there. Pretty tough to get a catcher like him out of the ball game. I think there has to be a bone showing for him to come out of the game.
Yeah, and I bet a lot of that has to do with Adrian Beltre.
Probably.
You know, they see him go out there every day, not, you know, sometimes or a lot of times not at 100%, but he's going out there and not just going out there, he's getting it done. So that puts a little pressure on everybody else.
No, Chirinos at first with one out. Hanser Alberto is at the plate. And he lost one to right. Puig retreating and makes the catch off to the side for the second out. Back to first goes Chirinos, and Anthony Renato will come up for a second time.
One of the things that Greinke does really well is he makes you swing the bat. He's around the plate. He likes to get ahead early. And with the kind of quality pitches that Greinke has, you don't want to sit around and wait and all of a sudden you're in the hole 0-1, 0-2.
Yeah.
And he's got 4 or 5 pitches that he can throw you. So you get something early in the count that you like, you want to try and hit it hard.
Anthony taking strike one. Renato went down swinging his first time to the plate. Greinke with half a dozen strikeouts. He has Chirinos at first with 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Scoreless ball game, and all you have to do is, if you're a Dodger fan, is say Zach Greinke is pitching, and you know that the Dodgers are going to have trouble scoring runs. It has been that way for the last month and a half. Rangers, on the other hand, will take this. They, you stay in the ball game, hang around, and something good's bound to happen the way things have been going.
Yeah, all you want is a chance, an opportunity to win a ball game.
Greinke, a check of Chirinos. Just outside. 2 balls and a strike. Greinke's next pitch will be his 60th of the night. 31-year-old Floridian gets the sign and sets. And that'll do it. Well, Renato down on strike. 7 strikeouts for Greinke. The Rangers strand their 3rd runner of the night. We're halfway through the ball game. Rangers nothing, Dodgers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. On the Arizona Diamondbacks, the first 15,000 fans 14 and older will take home a Hawaiian Rangers t-shirt. That's courtesy of Fox Sports Southwest. Visit TexasRangers.com to get your tickets for July 7th. Well, the Dodgers come to bat here in the bottom of the 5th inning. A scoreless ball game. It would be the bottom 3rd of the order to face Anthony Renato, Callaspo, Rollins, and Greinke. Anthony Renato, outstanding work through the first 4 innings. 3 strikeouts, just 2 hits. He had one walk to his ledger. Callaspo is the one that drew that walk. He goes after the first pitch. Odor has it. Off-balance throw across his body, not in time. Wow. What a great effort by Rougned Odor to make it even that close.
Didn't think he had a chance to even get to that ball. I thought it was going to get all the way up the middle. But just the effort to get to it. Backhanded, you see he's fully extended. He just can't get his balance as well enough or well enough to make a strong throw. But he makes an accurate throw, gets it across the diamond. Almost.
Just couldn't quite get it there in time.
That's a great play. Running all the way toward left field. Comes over the top. Just couldn't get enough on the throw.
Now that is the third hit of the night for the Dodgers. Two of them have been to the infield variety. Marvin Edson doing a little debugging, and Jimmy Rollins had something on the back of his jersey, and Marvin Edson, here, I'll get it off for you. You walk up and smack the guy in the ear hole. Rollins flied out to pretty deep right his first time. 0-1 on the foul ball. Rollins a 197 average as he faces Renato. Jimmy Rollins has reached base safely in 8 of his last 9 games against the Rangers. He has plagued them, although not getting hits in all those games, but just getting on base.
Jimmy's a guy who's done a lot of things for a lot of years. Been a National League MVP, shown some power, the ability to steal bases, hit triples, hit doubles.
Yeah.
A Gold Glove defense.
1-1 pitch coming from Renato. It's flared out of play. And he took over the all-time hit leadership in Philadelphia last year. A lot of folks, let's say, were not behind him as he was making that chase. Mike Schmidt, of course, a fan favorite there for a lot of years. Gold Glove third baseman. They felt that Schmidt ought to be the one that goes down to the books as the all-time hit leader, but Rollins passed him.
Yeah, Mike Schmidt, one of the best third basemen ever to play this game.
Another foul back.
No question about his ability and things he's done over the years. Matter of fact, I got a chance to see him last week at MLB draft.
Oh.
Yeah, he was there representing the Phillies, so got to see him for a few minutes.
Yeah. 1-2 to Rollins. Renato checks Callaspo at first. Check swing. Did he go on? Yes, he did. The appeal down to third base umpire Chris Segal, and he rang him up. Oh, Rollins gone on strikes. Number 4 for Anthony Renato.
Renato goes down with that breaking ball. That slider down and in. Tough pitch for a left-hander to lay off of. Jimmy tried to lay off of it, but wasn't able to quite do it.
Oh, that is a very big out, number 1 here in the 5th. Now Zach Greinke up there. We'll see if Greinke is going to be asked to sacrifice bunt. This situation, the pitcher sometimes, like Clayton Kershaw was asked last night with a couple of runners aboard and 2 out, to sacrifice. Scoreless ball game, you might have the pitcher sacrificing here to get Callaspo into scoring position, even though there's already 1 out. Greinke grounded to short his first time against Renato. Anthony, a belt high set. Greinke around to bunt. And takes a high strike.
Well, if you think that 12-6 curveball is a tough pitch to hit, try bunting that thing.
Yeah. Greinke this year has 3 sacrifice bunts to his credit. again around the bunt, and the bunt is down on the first base side, and Renato just tags Greinke going by. So the sacrifice, one unassisted on the putout. Callaspo into scoring position now, and Jock Peterson will come up. And before Anthony Renato deals to Jock Peterson, let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Boston game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Now here we play in the bottom of the fifth inning. A scoreless game, and Alberto Callaspo at second base. Jock Peterson getting his third at bat of the night. Peterson has struck out and flied to right field. Rangers going to an overshift again with the left-handed hitting Peterson up there. And the first pitch is inside for ball one. Peterson with the average right at 250. 17 home runs, 33 RBI. And for a leadoff man to have 33 runs driven in about a third of the way through a season, that's pretty impressive. Got a pitch up to work with and fouled it straight back.
Well, he's not getting cheated up there, that's for sure.
No, he does not.
Renato left that one up in his own. I'm sure Jock wants that pitch back. Hopefully he won't get another shot at that.
Now Peterson, with those numbers of runners in scoring position, a 267 average, he has drawn 45 walks this year. That's the most on the Dodger team. He's also struck out 78 times, which is significant for a leadoff man.
It is, and we're just in the middle of June. So
yeah.
That's a lot of strikeouts, 220 at bats.
Mark McGuire, the hitting coach, very much for not worrying about the strikeouts if you hit the ball into the ballpark. And I would think 17 home runs here in the middle of June would qualify. Pitch inside, 3 balls and a strike to Jock Peterson. Third in the National League with those 45 walks, second most strikeouts in the National League. In a hitter's count here, 3 balls and a strike. Anthony Renato working to it. Right-hander okays the sign. And misses high. That puts 2 aboard for Yasiel Puig. Now Mike Maddox going to go out and slow things down a little bit, get a game plan formulated between Robinson Chirinos and Anthony Renato on how they want to deal with Puig. Puig tonight has tripled to right. You know, a little inside-out slicer to right field. And he lined sharply to center his last time up. Well, the Rangers have had success in this series against Puig, running the ball in on him, right-handers and left-handers.
Yeah, you just got to be able to get it in far enough. You don't want to get in there and make a mistake and leave it hanging out over the plate. He knows what to do with that, but they've had tremendous success in these 3+ games against Puig, pounding him in for strikes, pounding him in off the plate, throwing up and in, making him uncomfortable in that batter's box.
Yep. There are 2 guys that did a pretty good job of tying Puig up. Giovanni Gallardo and Wandy Rodriguez. Puig this year a 200 hitter with runners in scoring position, just 4 for 20. He's got Callaspo at second, Peterson at first. Anthony Renato getting set for his 71st pitch of the night. Misses high. 1 ball, no strikes. Anthony all of a sudden missing upstairs with his mistakes. And that a lot of times is indicative of a guy whose legs are getting a little bit tired. Just can't get out over that front leg far enough. See if he can find the energy to get through Puig here. 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Renato last time out in a start threw 101 pitches in 6 innings of work. So he's not approaching anything that would be out of the ordinary. High and tight, 3-0. Oh, Puig may have the green light, may not. Mike Maddox calling down to the bullpen to get some action going. Anthony Renato can't just assume he's going to take this 3-0 pitch.
No, you really can't. Not a guy like this with this kind of power.
And he was taken all the way, and it's 3-1. Threw a good fastball away to it. If Puig is able to keep the inning alive, you have Adrian Gonzalez, the number 3 man in the order, waiting to be next. A leadoff single by Callaspo, a 2-out walk to Peterson. Runners at first and second, and 3-1 the count to Yasiel Puig. Now 3-2. Oh, with 2 outs, Ross Detweiler now up and throwing in the Ranger bullpen. With 2 outs, both Callaspo and Peterson will be off and moving. Renato, a very pensive look into home plate, trying to figure out what they need to do. The right-hander's ready. Runners on the move, and the payoff pitch on the way. Line to center, right at Leonis Martin, and that will do it. No hard hit ball, but an offer for Puig. Dodgers get a walk and a hit. They strand 2 after 5. No score in Los Angeles. Brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $900 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during the inning, Abby Mitchell from Arlington wins $900. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Abby will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Abby, hang on here. You got the top of the order, so some guys that can drive the ball out of the ballpark. Shin-Soo Choo is up there first. Choo singled his last time up. He had the first Ranger base hit of the night off Zach Greinke. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pitches by inning. That's tough to do, even if you plan it that way. Have 4 consecutive innings with exactly 13 pitches.
You know, doing it 2 innings in a row is something.
Yeah.
4?
Yeah. A ball and 2 strikes to Choo. Shin-Soo now with that base hit, the average at 243. Greinke back to the plate. Ground ball right back to him. One gone. You can see why Zach Greinke in a Gold Glove as a pitcher gets himself an excellent fielding position, very much on balance, ready to field anything that's hit his way.
Yeah, those are the pitchers that I didn't like as a hitter. They're unbalanced or anything, and I like trying to hit the ball at the middle, obviously, the middle the other way. They're right there ready for it.
Yeah.
I prefer those guys that fall off the mound.
Yeah.
Hey, I need any kind of help I can get, really.
Greinke, it's almost like facing a five-man infield. He's that good. Kenny Rogers was that way. Greg Maddux was that way.
You just watch him. He is like that fifth infielder.
Yeah.
Watch when he lets that ball go and comes set. He's ready to field.
And Odor fouling that pitch off. It's no balls, 2 strikes. Greinke originally drafted by the Kansas City Royals. Came up through the Royals system. Made his major league debut at the age of 20. That pitch bounces in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Greinke involved in a couple of pretty significant trades. One going from Kansas City to Milwaukee. Pretty well set the Royals up for their team they have now with Alcides Escobar and Lorenzo Cain coming over in that deal. 1-2 pitch to Odor. Kendrick throws out his counterpart. 2 gone. Next will be Joey Gallo.
Left fielder, Joey Gallo.
The other trade that Greinke was involved in, going from Milwaukee to the Angels, Gene Segura going over in return to Milwaukee, and he's become a big cog in the Brewers ball club. And quite honestly, the Angels have never recovered from that summer of dealing. Their minor league system is so depleted. Gallo tonight has struck out and grounded to first. Two balls, no strikes.
That's a tough call to make for any organization. When you've got an opportunity to win and you've got some chips to deal, do you go after what you need?
Right.
Or do you just have confidence in that team that you've been putting out there on the field for those 3 or 4 months before the All-Star break and say, hey, I'm going to ride with this?
Gallo trying to check his swing, and he did. It's 3-0. Yeah, I think from the outside, it's real easy to say, well, one guy is not gonna put you over the hump. Well, if you're involved in it daily, you can see where one guy might make a huge difference.
Yeah, you can. There have been instances where it's worked both ways.
Yeah.
It's worked out for a team that goes after a guy, and it's not worked out for a team that's gone after a guy.
And the pitch on the outside corner. Greinke not throwing it down the middle on 3-0. 3-1 to Gallo. Joey up there. Right on the corner, huh?
Yeah.
Diving stop by Rollins. He gets to his knees and throws and got it. Now we'll see if Jeff Bannister is saying, hang on a second here. I want to give my man Joey Probinski an opportunity to take a look at that replay and see if he truly was out. What a play by Jimmy Rollins.
Jimmy Rollins can still get around over there. Made a very nice diving play, got up, and threw it well. Wow, that's close.
That is about as close as it can be. And Jeff Bannister still waiting for Steve Buechele to get the information to him, and they're gonna side with the umpires on that one. So it's a 1-2-3 inning. Rangers out in order in the 6th. After 5.5, it's the Rangers nothing and the Dodgers nothing. tasting event. Fans 21 and older are invited to sample wines from a number of different producers, including Gallo, Constellation Brands, Vineyards of Florence, and more. In addition to the wine tasting, the event includes a buffet and a ticket to the game with the Yankees. Visit TexasRangers.com/wine to purchase. Adrian Gonzalez leading off the Dodgers' 6th inning, a scoreless ball game. Dodgers with 3 hits, Rangers with 2. Adrian Gonzalez takes inside. A ball and a strike. Gonzalez tonight has grounded to first and flied to right field. Good off-speed pitch, and he had Gonzalez whirling in the wind. Anthony Renato wanted him to make the transfer from AAA to the big leagues, what he was able to do down there, and I think he brought everything with him.
It looks like it does. It sure does. Got command of that curveball, fastball, working at a nice steady pace and just being consistent in the strike zone.
2-2 to Gonzalez. Left center field, that's where Leonis Martin was stationed. 1 out. Well, Gonzalez 0 for 3. He'll make a U-turn at first base. Head back to the Dodger dugout. Now Howie Kendrick will come up. Kendrick had an infield single his last time. Hit a high chopper that Anthony Renato tried to barehand and went off of his hand. And Renato looked like he turned his ankle in an effort to get down the side of the mound to go after it. He obviously was okay. He's still in the ball game. And dealing here to Kendrick with nobody on and 1 out in the 6th inning. Renato back to the plate. This is inside. Remember, Anthony Renato came over from the Red Sox in a deal this past January, and Robbie Ross Jr. going over to the Red Sox. Still a good fastball. Keeping it in there 91-92 pretty consistently. 1-2 to Kendrick.
Working both sides of the plate. Started Kendrick with a breaking ball on the outside part of the plate. Then went inside with a fastball and back outside with the fastball for strike 2.
Kendrick lines one to center, but that's right exactly where Leonis Martin is. 2 out. A lot of balls in the air tonight. The Dodgers now have had 10 fly ball outs.
You know, it's great execution by Renato. You know, the Dodgers are hitting balls right at the Rangers, and the reason for that is he's hitting his spot. He's hitting his location, and the defense is set to that, and that's what's making him successful so far.
Yasmani Grandal going after that breaking ball, and it is 0-1. Grandal twice has seen that hook on a 2-strike count and just been mesmerized by it. Not here. He hits a little looper into left field. On comes Gallo. 3 fly balls, 3 outs. Renato works a perfect 6th inning. Dodgers gone in order. After 6 complete, it remains the Dodgers 0 and the Rangers 0. Usig's up on the scoreboard. Anthony Renato putting him up for the Rangers. Started off well, and he has continued to pitch well. Just 3 hits and 2 walks with 4 strikeouts. Just as well, Zach Greinke. 6 innings of work, 2 hits, no walks, and 7 strikeouts. This is an old-fashioned pitcher's duel for the two of them. A pair of right-handers hooking up here and keeping the opposition at bay. Mitch Moreland will start things off for the Rangers against Greinke in the 7th inning. And a breaking ball hits the top of the strike zone. 0-1. Greinke, by the way, in case you were wondering, last inning also had 13 pitches. That's 5 straight innings of exactly 13 pitches. Maybe it's in his contract. He throws 13 pitches per inning, and that's it. He's through.
It's something, because I don't think we're going to see that again. 5 innings? I'm speechless.
That's incredible. Let's take a look at our T-Mobile game changer, talking about Mitch Moreland. A .356 average in his current 11-game hitting streak. 3 home runs, 12 RBI. How about a .1040 OPS on base plus slugging? It's the second 11-game hitting streak, not only of this season, but of his career. It's a high water mark. Trying to make it 12 here. Takes ball 1 down and in. Didn't see Mitch last night. Oh, I saw him at the ballgame, but he didn't get in the lineup. But he is in there tonight. Rich Fielder keeping an eye on things from his vantage point. And Mitch down on strikes for the 2nd time this evening. That's 8 strikeouts now for Greinke. 1 away for Elvis Andrus.
Greinke going with the off-speed pitch here. Looks just like a fastball, ends up being a sinker, down and away. Very tough pitch.
Elvis, the strikeout, came back in the 2nd inning. He lined out to right his last time up. Rangers have had just the 2 hits against Greinke, and they came back-to-back in the 4th inning. Chu and Odor. Bad part for the Rangers, they back-to-back to lead the inning off, and Rangers could not score. That's the only opportunity they've had against Zach Greinke tonight. Chopper foul, no balls, and 2 strikes.
You know, with a guy like this, you've got to take advantage of any opportunity that you're going to get. You may not get a second opportunity to score some runs off of him.
Yeah, Greinke doesn't give up much in the way of hits without anybody on base. When he gets people on base, he's even more stingy. And a little tapper foul. Elvis staying alive. You mentioned opposition overall hitting .214 against Greinke this year. You go over his career, is just a .250 average against him. Another 0-2 pitch to Elvis. Greinke getting ready to throw his 82nd pitch of the night. And Elvis eyeballing that as it dipped out of the strike zone. 2-2.
Tough pitch to take there, 2 strikes.
Greinke back up on top, peering in for the sign. Good job by Elvis to get that ball out of play. Pitch up and into him. Hey, that can frustrate a pitcher. You make the pitch that you want to in the location, but a guy fouls it off. Doggone it. Up at the very top end of the strike zone, off the plate, maybe a hair.
If those guys bother you?
Yeah, I get frustrated after a while. Took about 2 pitches to get frustrated. Get him out of here.
The Tony Gwynn or Wade Boggs type of guy that can just foul it off just with a flick of a wrist.
Yep. A full count now to Elvis. Elvis trying to get aboard here with one out. Leonis Martin will follow in the order. Greinke to the wide, the payoff pitch. By the dive of Rollins into left field, and Elvis has his first hit of the night. Very nice at bat by Elvis Andrus.
Yankee runs the count to 3-2, leaves a breaking ball hanging out over the middle of the plate, and Elvis hammers it into left field past the diving Jimmy Rollins. Great at bat by Elvis. Took a couple of tough pitches for balls and put himself in that position to get something better to hit.
You know, I think that pitch in the middle on 3-2 was really a function of the couple foul balls that Elvis had on. That's Greinke getting a little frustrated with things. Try to make a pitch on 3-2. All of a sudden it's in the middle of the plate. You don't want to walk him, obviously, but Greinke has shown the ability to spot it up on a corner on 3-2. He didn't that time. A 1 on, 1 out, Leonis Martin. 0 for 2 tonight. And he pops up the first pitch into left field. Long run out for Rollins. And makes the catch just about 10 feet in fair territory. Well, Leonis pops out, back to first is Andrus. 2 outs for Robinson Chirinos. And unless Greinke picks off Elvis to end this inning without making a pitch, he's going to have more than 13. He's at 13 right now.
It'll make me a little nervous if we did that again.
Yeah, the only guy who doesn't appreciates being stuck on 13 is Joey Gallo. Chirinos hit by a pitch his last time up. He takes a knee-high strike. It's 0-1. So Robinson 0 for 1. Batting average at .206. Got Elvis at first. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th inning. Scoreless ball game in Los Angeles. Greinke checking Elvis. And that's fouled out of play. 0-2.
It's good to see Robbie still in the game after getting hit on the wrist in his last at bat.
Flexing that right hand a little bit just to keep the circulation going. No balls, 2 strikes. Elvis the lead from first. And a ground ball, base hit to left. Elvis in second. He's not stopping there. Here comes the throw. The slide, he's safe. Ethier took a little while to get there. Elvis saw that going around second. Ethier does not throw the ball that well, and Elvis took advantage. That's pretty aggressive base running right there.
That's a big time base running. Elvis is watching that ball all the way. He's not worried about looking at over Tony Beasley, the third base coach, letting him know, hey, go or not. Elvis takes off running. He's watching Ethier the entire time and running hard, and sees that Ethier's kind of slacking coming to that ball. It was a fairly easy play. You just got to come hard and come get it. Elvis went in there, just kept running, kept going. Safe at third, and it wasn't as close as it looked.
And Don Mattingly now is going to ask that this play be looked at. He is issuing the challenge on the call at third base, which was safe. The umpires now, Jim Joyce, the crew chief, and third base umpire Chris Segal will get the headsets on. They will get in touch with the replay command center back in New York. And here's one of the angles they will be looking at. At first view, Elvis gets that hand in. The question is, does he come off with that hand while the tag is being applied? And I think you may have a case for it, although I'm not sure that's clear and convincing evidence. Better angle of it here. Boy, that's going to be a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Gallaspo maintained contact with that tag once he got the tag on him. And the question they will have to answer in New York is, while that tag was on there, did Elvis lose contact with the base? Jim Joyce and Chris Segal down there with the headsets on, and you're taking a good look at this in New York. Again, the call at third is safe, and it has to be clear and convincing evidence as determined by the umpire in charge of replays for this ballgame. It would allow him to overturn the call and make it an out call.
I'm not sure they can do that from those two angles, and I'm pretty sure they've got more than just the two. But the two that we saw, one was kind of inconclusive, really couldn't tell. And then the second one, here's another angle from left field line.
Folks here in Dodger Stadium kind of privy to that one. Now the call has been made and out at third base. No, replay umpire in New York overturns the call. He said there was clear and convincing evidence that Elvis did indeed come off the bag while the tag was being applied. So that will do it for the Rangers. They have 2 hits, but Strand 1. Stretch time with a scoreless game.
Time for the 7th inning stretch, presented by Coca-Cola. Please rise and join in the singing of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," led by Nancy B.
Anthony Renato back on to pitch for the Rangers, and this another Rangers destination trip. Around 35 fans making their way here to LA to take in all of the sights and sounds of Dodger Stadium. Had the chance to meet and greet Pudge Rodriguez today. That very special fan right there, very affected by our Pudge Rodriguez. She's been a fan, she said, all her life, and actually had a picture that she took when she was in the 3rd grade and brought it for Pudge to sign. Definitely made her day, and possibly even more. So Rangers destination's always a great thing. LA, a great turnout, and there will be more. Just visit TexasRangers.com/destinations for more info, guys.
All right, Dan, thank you. Well, Andre Ethier leading off the bottom of the 7th for the Dodgers. Anthony Renato back out to the hill. And Ethier taking a strike. Ethier tonight has popped out and flied out. 0 for 2. Anthony Renato just about to 90 pitches. His next one will be number 90 of the evening. It's a 1-1 offering. And a little looping pop foul. 1-2. Anthony, we talked about, really had gotten things going at AAA Round Rock this year. His last 6 starts, he went 5-1 with an ERA of 2, 8 earned runs, and 36 innings of work. And as far as rankings in the Pacific Coast League, he was tied for first in wins, and he is 5th in ERA in the league. Line drive to right. That's going to settle in for a base hit. And Ethier aboard with a leadoff single. So 1 on, nobody out. Now Alberto Callaspo will come up.
Renato trying to go with an off-speed pitch, a changeup down in the zone, gets it down, maybe not far enough. Ethier just pokes it out there in right field for a single. His first hit of the night.
Well, the hits are now once again even, 4 apiece for each ball club. Callaspo is 1 for 1, a walk and a single. Callaspo drawing one of the 2 walks that Renato was given. And he lines one to left center, right center field, over to his left. Leonis Martin makes the grab. That ball hung up for him a little bit, and it made it a reasonably easy play. Now, before Jimmy Rollins steps in, let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Anthony Renato getting set to deal to the switch hitting Jimmy Rollins, veteran shortstop. 0 for 2 tonight, a fly ball and a strikeout. Good block by Robinson Chirinos on that breaking ball that was just down low. Look down in the on deck circle for the Dodgers. Justin Turner has come out to loosen up. Zach Greinke in the pitcher spot is due after Rollins. Renato will send a little calling card over to first base for Ethier. Again, Ross Detweiler, who was up earlier, up in the Ranger bullpen here. 1 ball, no strikes. The count to Rollins. Rangers looking for that 2 ball and an infielder. 1-1.
Because when you've got a pitcher that's throwing as well as Greinke, it's got to be tough to come out in this situation for offensive purposes.
Yeah.
This is just, a 0-0 ball game. They've got to get some offense in there, so he's throwing extremely well, but he's got to come out. That's got to be tough for a pitcher.
Base hit to right field with Ethier on the move. The Dodgers are going to have first and third and 1 out. Rollins tomahawking that off-speed pitch that stayed up. And the Dodgers now have something going. First time that they've had anything going meaningful since the first inning.
Renato trying to drop that curveball in there, left it up hanging. Rollins just jumped all over it for a single on the hit and run. Ethier looking in the whole time, looking for contact, making sure that we're trying to avoid running into a double play, a line drive double play, by watching Rollins and see what he did with the ball. Got to third base easily on that.
Well, Mike Bannick's out there to talk with Renato and Robinson Chirinos. Justin Turner, coming off the bench, has been a frequent pinch hitter for the Dodgers this year. Second most pinch hitting at bats with 12 of them. He's gone just 2 for 12, but both those hits have been home runs. So Zach Greinke being removed in favor of Justin Turner. I think the way Greinke's been going, he'd say that's fine if he gets a base hit. If he doesn't, I should have gone up there.
Yeah, Greinke can swing the bat as well as a lot of hitters in the major leagues can, actually.
So the defense set, the plan of attack set. Turner, a .318 hitter overall, 6 home runs, 26 runs batted in. There are the pinch hitting numbers we were talking about. 2 home runs, 5 RBI. Rangers will look for the double play up the middle. Turner has grounded into 3 of them this year. And Renato missing high for ball 1. Turner checking down at third base. Five out of 8 times Justin Turner has been able to score that runner from third in less than 2 outs. 1-1.
Now it goes with the fastball right down the middle of the plate. He's saying, hey, I've got to throw strikes. Here's my best stuff.
Turner back in, hits out of that very unusual stance. Hands high above his right shoulder. Wide open stance. And Tanner Shepard joins Ross Detweiler in the Ranger bullpen. Saw Tanner come in and work an effective 8th inning last night. Renato ready. A check of the runners, the 1-1 pitch. Instead is a toss to first. Anthony Renato could not run right now for mayor of Chavez Ravine. He's not popular.
No, fans don't like to see that pitcher throw over to first base multiple times. I don't know why, but I think it's just maybe to rattle the pitcher, just so they can make noise.
Yeah. Now Anthony ready again. Fouled out of play. Oh, if you're looking for the pop-up, the strikeout, maybe even a double play grounder, you've gotten it to 1 ball and 2 strikes, and now you can pull your strikeout pitch out of your bag if you have it with you.
Perfect time for it. I'm sure Turner knows about it as well, but you still have to hit it.
Anthony has shown a couple of different ways that he has struck out folks tonight. He has 4 of them. That big curveball has been effective. Also the well-spotted fastball. Target set inside for the 1-2 pitch. He came up and in. And we'll see what that sets up. Anthony's next pitch will be his 100th of the night. Chirinos going through the signs. Ethier at third, Rollins at first. The 2-2. And again, a toss to first. Anthony facing Justin Turner, who was 1 for 4 in last night's ball game. He brings a 3-game hitting streak into this pinch hitting assignment here tonight. The 2-2. Got him on the fist, a little pop-up, shallow center. Leonis Martin coming on and makes the catch. Everybody has to hold. Well, strikeout pop-up is the way the old saying goes. He got the pop-up. And that is out number 2. And it will bring up Jock Peterson. We'll see if Anthony Renato will be asked to face him. And the answer to that is no. Anthony Renato has done his job. 100 pitches tonight. He leaves in a scoreless ball game with 2 runners on that are his responsibility. And it looks like Ross Detweiler, the left-hander, is going to be summoned to deal with Jock Peterson. An excellent job tonight by Anthony Renato. A strong start for the big right-hander. And he can hold his head up high after this outing here tonight. He departs after 6 2/3, 2 on and 2 out. Detweiler coming on. We will take a timeout. We're back to Los Angeles right after this. Giants, TCU's University Day is coming up on Wednesday, July 8th. The University Day ticket includes exciting Ranger baseball and the Texas Rangers cap in your school's colors. The first 1,000 fans at the ballpark who purchased a TCU University Day ticket receive a special TCU-themed Rangers cap. Visit TexasRangers.com/UDays to get your tickets and to see a lineup of all University Days this season. And our congratulations to TCU winning 8-4 in the College World Series for LSU tonight. Ross Detweiler on now, and he is in a spot. You got runners at first and third, 2 outs in a scoreless ball game, and he is facing Jock Peterson. Detweiler began the year as part of the starting rotation. This is his 3rd outing since being moved to the bullpen. Last time out 7 days ago against the Oakland A's. In a spot here with 2 on and 2 out. Jock Peterson takes the first pitch down and away for ball 1. That last outing for Detweiler in Oakland, Ross gave up the 3-run home run to Josh Reddick in that ball game. Left-hander checks Rollins at first. 1-0 pitch, and it's 2-0. Peterson drew a walk his last time up. He is 0 for 2 officially, having struck out and flied to right field. Might very well be the only hitter that Ross is asked to face here tonight. Detweiler to the plate. 2-1. Peterson asking Marvin Hudson if that last pitch was a strike, and Hudson said, well, not until you swung at it.
Good spot. Detweiler could be very deceiving. He's tall, lanky. We talked about that earlier with Renato. He's another tall, lanky one that throws hard, throws across his body, so he can be very deceptive.
To right field, that is playable as Jew comes in a couple of steps and makes the catch. Ross Detweiler comes in and gets a very tough Jock Peterson to fly out, and the Dodgers strand 2 on a couple of hits. We are through 7 in Los Angeles. Still a scoreless ball game. Tomorrow night we will be in Chicago. First of 3 against the White Sox over the weekend. Then an off day on Monday, back home to face Oakland Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before going back onto the road. The last road trip before the All-Star break goes to Toronto and Baltimore. That ends the month of June. Been a good month for the Rangers. They're looking to close it out on even a better note than they've started it out. J.P. Howell, Texas Longhorn, on now to face the Rangers here in the 8th inning. Saw Howell last night, worked an inning in relief, and deals strike one to Hanser Alberto. Hanser 0 for 2 this evening. Struck out and flied to right field. Zach Greinke, by the way, in 7 innings of work, 4 hits. Rangers did not score against him, did not walk anybody, and punched out 8. And his ERA in the last 9 outings now is ridiculously low, and nothing to show for it wins-wise.
It's incredible as well as he's been pitching. To go out and not give up any runs, or if he has, I think in 5 of his starts he's given up 1 run or less and not getting wins. That's very tough. But all he can do is pitch.
Well, naturally you can hit a little bit.
That's true. You got me, huh?
Alberto staying on that off-speed pitch and fouled it off. $46,977 on hand here tonight. It's just about what the Dodgers average per home game here in Los Angeles. Another 1-2 pitch coming. And Hanser again chopping a pitch foul. Alberto with the average at 276. Now the 32-year-old out of Modesto, California. Pitch chopped down foul. JP signed out here in Los Angeles as a free agent right before the 2013 season. He's fared very well here in Los Angeles. A total of 135 appearances the first 2 years out here, 2013, 2014. And a call, strike 3. That's a comeback fastball. And Alberto is out number 1 here in the 8th inning.
Howell comes back, throws that 2-seamer, comes back out over the middle of the plate, right there at the top of the zone. Tough pitch for a hitter. You're thinking it's coming inside on you, and it tails back over the plate. Tough pitch to stay on and hit.
Jake Smolinski now is going to come off the bench and pinch hit for Ross Detweiler. Detweiler hitting that 9th spot as he came into the ball game last half inning. And Rick Honeycutt, former Ranger, going out there to have a chat with J.P. Howell, talking about Jake Smolinski. So Detweiler asked to come in and get 1 hitter. That was Jock Peterson in a critical situation. He did. And his reward gets taken out. Just the way it happens sometimes.
That's it. It's a National League game. You got to get a hitter in here in this situation. We saw it happen to Greinke last inning. And you don't see most relievers hit. So if you've got a reliever in the game and that hitter spot comes up, and that pitcher spot comes up, you better believe you're going to have a pinch hitter in there.
So Jake Smolinski, who pinch hit in last night's ball game, struck out in the 8th inning. Up here in the 8th inning tonight, facing J.P. Howell. And Howell drops in a breaking ball for strike 1. Smolinski 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter this year. Batting average of 136. 1 home run, 6 driven in. Howell back to the plate. A ball and a strike. J.P. Howell, prior to coming over to the Dodgers, spent time in Tampa Bay, a number of years down in Tampa Bay. Came up originally with Kansas City. He was a starter his first 4 years in professional baseball, first couple of years in the big leagues. Tampa Bay turned him into a reliever in 2008. And he's been working out of the pen ever since. 1-2 pitch to Smolinski. That'll even the count. Tanner Shepard's up and ready in that Ranger bullpen. Looks like he will be the pitcher when we start the bottom of the 8th inning. And Jake rips that pitch foul off the screen in front of the Dodger dugout. Still 2-2. Bodies flying everywhere. Check swing, he went around. And Howell has back-to-back strikeouts. Smolinski gone. 2 away with Shin-Soo Choo coming up.
Jake tried to hold up on that one, but looked like he went just a little bit too far.
17, Shin-Soo Choo.
Grandal ought to have a little conversation, a very quick one with J.P. Howell. Howell, coming to last night's ball game, faced Odor, Corcoran, and Martin. He hit Odor, got a double play grounder from Corcoran, and struck out Leonis Martin. So Shin-Soo Choo will get the first look at him in this series. And Choo takes strike 1. Choo 1 for 3 tonight. Had a 4th inning single. One and 1 the count.
Howell's trying to stay away from Choo. Choo has tremendous power to the opposite field, so he doesn't have to pull a baseball to hit it out of the ballpark.
Breaking ball stayed up, and Choo swung through it. I think he'd like to have this one back.
Just missed out. He's trying.
One-two pitch. Laid off that one. 2-2 now. Choo with 8 home runs. 32 RBI. Getting in that leadoff spot now ever since Delino DeShields had to go on the disabled list. Hamstring problem. Howell's next pitch. Got him swinging. J.P. Howell comes in and strikes out the side in order. Rangers gone quickly in the 8th. After 7.5, it's still scoreless in Los Angeles with the Rangers and the Dodgers.
score between the Rangers and the Dodgers, and this is the finale of this 4-game home-and-home set between the Rangers and the Dodgers. We head to Chicago after this, a very late night for the Rangers as we head to Chi-Town for a little 3-game series against the White Sox. Chris Sale towing the rubber for Chicago tomorrow. You can bet Adam Rosales will be in the lineup. He has pretty good numbers against Mr. Sale. Things get going at 7 o'clock here on Fox Sports Southwest. We thank the fine folks at AT&T Uverse for sharing that fantastic information with all of us, guys.
All right, Em. Yasiel Puig starting things off against Tanner Scheppers here in the 8th inning. Scheppers missing with a breaking ball after getting a check swing strike. That evens the count now at 1-1. Puig tonight has tripled and twice lined out to center. Good fastball from Scheppers. 96 at the knees, and it is 1-2. Tanner worked a very good 8th inning last night. Had a double play grounder in that frame. Puig waiting, the 1-2 pitch. Call, strike 3. Tanner Scheppers painting the outside corner with some low heat. One gone.
Not a whole lot you can do with those last 2 fastballs down and away at 96 miles an hour. That will just catch the bottom part of the strike zone. But we'll take it. That's paint right there. I'm not sure if you know that ball's coming in that location that you can put a bat on.
Not much you can do with it, even if you did. Break your bat. Adrian Gonzalez, a check swing, and it's a strike. And there are Tanner's numbers this year. His 21st game, a 3-0 mark. ERA on the way down now at 5.59, 2.43 the opponent's batting average against him. But the last 2 nights, not as well as we've seen Tanner Scheppers tune it up this year. Last night he gave up a walk, but the double play erased that. Also had a strikeout. Good off-speed pitch. Wow. 1-2.
He's setting that off-speed pitch up with that 97, 98 mile an hour fastball that he's throwing with a little movement to it.
Gonzalez, a couple of fly balls and a ground ball to first. Rangers in an overshift. Scheppers to the plate. Ouch. Got that fastball right up inside, and Gonzalez better count his fingers, make sure they're all still there.
Second baseman, number 47.
2 gone.
Great spot to get Gonzalez with it. The Rangers have done a tremendous job in these 3+ games. Gonzalez only has 1 hit. They're throwing hard. Inside fastballs, sliders down and in. 2-seamers away. They've done a tremendous job against this Dodgers offense so far.
Now here's Howie Kendrick, who has an infield single in 3 trips, and he takes strike 1. Tanner coming in firing strikes.
He's just saying here, 96 to 98 with the fastball. Down and away on the corners.
Good breaking ball. 0-2. And Tanner not wasting any time. Well, he wants that ball, and you start throwing well like this, you don't want to waste any time between pitches. 0-2 pitch to Kendrick. A ball and 2 strikes. Tanner winds and deals. Got him swinging. Wow. Strong 8th inning by Tanner Scheppers. He sends the Dodgers down 1-2-3 with a couple of punch-outs. We'll go to the 9th inning. Rangers nothing, Dodgers nothing here in Los Angeles. scoreless ball game turned to their closer here in the top of the 9th inning at home. And Don Mattingly brings on Kenley Jansen. Jansen, the hard-throwing right-hander, asked to come on here to deal with the Rangers in the 9th. Numbers for Jansen, this is 12th ball game. 1-0 with an .082 earned run average, 20 strikeouts in 11 innings. And Jansen, a big guy, goes 6'5", about 265 pounds. He is out of the island of Curacao and ready to face Rougned Odor, Joey Gallo, and Mitch Moreland. Odor 1 for 3 tonight. Had an infield single back in the 4th. That was sandwiched in between a couple of groundouts. And the first pitch on the outside corner for strike 1. And the Ranger bullpen heating up. Keone Kellett and Sean Tollison loosening. Jansen's next pitch. That cut fastball, and that is a good one. He throws that about 9 out of 10 pitches. Also mixes in a slider every once in a while, but it's a la Mariano Rivera, that kind of a slider. I mean, that kind of a cutter where he tell you it's coming, and if he executes it, there's not a thing you can do about it. One and two. Odor's average now up to 182 with the hit tonight. Rougned has hit safely in all 3 of the ball games since he has come back into the lineup. Jansen with a 1-2 pitch. That's going to reach the seats back behind home plate. Jansen, 44 saves last year for the Dodgers. He had 53 total in 2012 and 2013. Last year, putting it all together, 65 innings of work. He punched out 101 hitters. That's in the dirt. And the count evens up at 2-2.
Rookie putting together another good at bat, a quality at bat, making Jansen throw some pitches. Just so he can see exactly what he's got. So hopefully he can get one of these cutters that he's going to get here and get the fat part of the bat to it.
Grandal flashing the signs out, and Jansen ready to go. Got in on his fist and a weak 2-hopper out to Kendrick. One gone. That's very similar to what Mariano Rivera would do to left-handed hitters.
That's just not even nice. You're right. I mean, you know it was coming, and there was literally nothing you can do. And then there were even guys that had some at-bats against him that were switch hitters that decided, hey, I might as well just go up there right-handed to eliminate that cutter. Didn't do much good, but they had to try something.
Yeah. Then instead of getting on your fish, you got it on the end of the bat.
He made a adjustment, or I don't know, further aggravated big league hitters probably about 3/4 of the way through his career, and started throwing that cutter on the outside part of the plate as well as inside.
Backdoor cutter?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hated it. You know it's coming. Okay, and now it's which part of the plate is it coming? That just wasn't fair.
Now Joey Gallo up here, seeing if he can launch one against Kenley Jansen. Joey 0 for 3 tonight. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gallo against Greinke, twice grounded out and 1 struck out. Again, Greinke 7 shutout innings, 4 hits and 8 strikeouts. J.P. Howell had a 3 strikeout perfect inning in the 8th. And now Kenley Jansen. The 1-1 to Gallo.
Up up in the zone. Well, he just missed it.
I wish he'd take a full swing one of these times.
Yeah, he's working on that.
Yep. Got him swinging. That cutter coming down and in, and Jansen gets the first strikeout. 2 gone for Mitch Moreland.
Well, cutter, you know it's coming. And most of the time, you just can't catch up to it and hit it. And if you do, it's probably going to be off your knuckles if you're a left-hander.
Mitch, a couple of strikeouts tonight, and the fielder's choice ground ball. Moreland now at 302 with the average. Jansen set to work. First pitch coming to Moreland. 1 ball, no strikes. Other than spring training, not a whole lot of Rangers have many at bats against Kenley Jansen. Took something off that and got the swinging strike. Kyle Blanks, who went on the disabled list today, by the way, has the most. He had 3 at bats. Chu, Corporant, Fielder, and Wandy Rodriguez each have 1 at bat against Kenley Jansen. That didn't do Mitch much good. 1-2. Jansen last year mentioned 101 strikeouts. That was the second most strikeouts by a National League reliever. Our oldest Chapman of the Reds had 106. Moreland pops one up, and that's going to reach the seats just over the Dodgers dugout. And we'll try it again at a ball and 2 strikes. Kenley Jansen back up on top. As big as he is, that's got to look like a mountain thrown to you out there.
Looks like he's standing on top of that speaker out there is what it is.
Big right-hander sets, Moreland waiting. Two and two. Almost 47,000 umpires all of a sudden in the ballpark.
Dodger umpires.
Dodger umpires, that's right. It's part of that home field advantage. Now Jensen ready to go once again. The 2-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Now Jensen comes in, gets a couple of strikeouts. Rangers down in order. We're going to the bottom of the ninth here in Los Angeles. The Rangers nothing and the Dodgers nothing. West is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T Uverse TV. Uverse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. Now, bottom of the ninth, a scoreless ball game, and last night's closer, Keone Kela, on here to work the ninth. Ranger bullpen the last couple of nights, 5 shutout innings and no hits with 6 strikeouts. Kela a big part of that last night. And he deals the first pitch to Yasmani Grandal is outside for ball 1. Kela registering his first major league save in last night's game. Grandal tonight is 0 for 3. A couple of strikeouts, a fly ball to left. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Bullpen came in and did a tremendous job last night, including Kela. Just shut down the Dodgers the last 3+ innings there. Tremendous job.
1-1 pitch. He did have a walk last night. Did not give up a hit. Had 1 strikeout. 8 walks, 26 strikeouts for the season in 28 1/3 innings for Keone. Right-hander ready. Back to Grandal. 2-2.
Got the outfield in a no double situation here. Late in the ball game, tie score. Mitch Moreland playing the line at first base. Alberto's off the line for the pull hitter Grandal. But everybody else, no doubles.
Yep. Air's gotten heavy now, so it's a little tougher to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Breaking ball just hung up and in a bit. 3-2 to Grandal. Well, the catcher trying to get aboard here to start off the bottom of the ninth. Andre Ethier, the left fielder, waits to be next. Kela studying the signs. The right-hander sets. And the payoff pitch coming. Outside ball 4. He lost it. Tried to go with the breaking ball, and Grandal was having none of that. It's a pretty good eye at the plate. So the winning run is aboard with nobody out here in the ninth inning. With Andre Ethier coming up. That might be a case of the catcher not catching the ball the right way to get a called strike for you. Start batting at that thing going away from you. It doesn't give the umpire much of an opportunity to call it a strike. Kike Hernandez in as the pinch runner. He is carrying the winning run at first and nobody out. And Andre Ethier takes ball 1. Ethier had a base hit to right his last time up. 1 for 3 this evening. Kela very well aware of Kike Hernandez over at first base. Very good speed. Ethier, 6 career walk-off home runs. 1 ball, no strikes. Inside, 2-0.
146 interleague games for Ethier. He's got 15 home runs. So he's accustomed to hitting the long ball in interleague play.
He's a guy that's been around. He has been around the block several times. Longest tenured Dodger on this ball club. Check swing, and the pitch is low and outside. 3 balls and no strikes. If you're just able to pull the head of that bat back. So 3-0 to Ethier with Alberto Callaspo to follow in the order. Keller with a 3-0 pitch. Inside, ball 4. And that puts 2 aboard with nobody out. Callaspo coming up. Now Mike Maddox going to go out to the mound and see if he can redirect a few of those pitches just by a matter of few millimeters. It's not nothing huge, but enough to cause Keone Keller to get a couple of walks to start off this 9th inning.
Yeah, there's an adjustment that he's going to have to make here, especially with Callaspo about to probably put down a bunt in this situation.
Meanwhile, Callaspo was talking to Lorenzo Bundy, the third base coach, and not going to rely on signs to let him know what's going on.
No, I think everybody in the ballpark knows. Sack bunt, get it over to third, get those runners over.
Mike Maddox out there along with the entire infield. Marvin Hudson kibitzing on that conversation. Trying to leave a positive thought in Keone Keller's mind as he goes back to the dugout. Mike taking the opportunity to talk to Marvin Hudson about the strike zone, too. You might want to loosen that up just a little bit here in the 9th inning.
Just a little bit. A couple of those calls that lasted back to Ethier were questionable.
Yep. They're close. That could be the case of a veteran hitter and a rookie pitcher, too, in a tight spot. Well, here we go with Callaspo. Rangers looking for the bunt. Callaspo showing bunt as Keone wheeled around to bluff a throw to second. That's one way to find out for sure if Callaspo is going to bunt. Now, Hanser Alberto, the Ranger third baseman, in front of the cut of the grass. Mitch Moreland will charge down the line from first. Callaspo around. The wheel play is on, and the throw behind. The Rangers have not had that work successfully this year. Last year, they had it work a couple of times.
Yeah, that's a play that you typically don't see work very much. And to see it work twice last year, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You'll see it put on occasionally throughout the course of the year, but it very rarely works. What you're really trying to do in that situation, yes, you want to pick them off, but you want that runner at second base to be a little hesitant about going to third if that hitter gets the bunt down.
Now Callaspo pulling the bat back and takes low for ball 1. So he has the option. If he sees that shortstop break to third, he has the option to pull the bat back and slap it towards short. Here's that pickoff on the wheel play, the feinted wheel play. Callaspo has not had a sacrifice bunt successfully anyway since June of 2013. He takes a strike there. It's 1-1. Del Keller doing what he had to do, and that's throw a strike. Callaspo will read the signals again. He's right at the bottom of the strike zone. That one satisfying Marvin Hudson's definition of the strike zone. 1-1 again. Callaspo around, takes the pitch low and inside. 2-1. The Rangers look like they're setting up to get a force at third if the ball is bunted anywhere except right at Hanser Alberto.
Yeah, you see Elvis, everybody breaking, Elvis breaking to third, Alberto breaking in to get that ground ball. They're trying to get that lead run at third base. So if the ball gets put down, everybody's got a spot they've got to be at, and you're trying to cut that runner off from getting to third base.
And ball 3 is low. Keone Keller working himself into a real spot now. Back-to-back walks to open up the inning. And with Callaspo willing to sacrifice, Keone's fallen behind 3-1. Winning run at second base here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Keller okays the sign, a check of second. The bunt is down but foul. And that makes it a full count. And you can see there's quite a bit of rust on that bunt attempt by Alberto Callaspo.
Well, there's a reason he hasn't had a successful one in 2 years, and we just saw it right there.
That's right.
It's kind of surprising. I would think that would be a really good part of his game.
Callaspo with 2 career walk-off hits, the last of them being 3 years ago. You got Hernandez, the pinch runner, out at second. Andre Ethier over at first. 3-2 with nobody out. Keller sets. And he's going to go inside to see if Hernandez might tip his hand about going to third. You want to make sure that runner stops, that he doesn't get a walking lead, but your focus needs to be on throwing a quality strike. Payoff pitch. Ground ball to Moreland. Second, they get one. Back to first. Double play. Good pitch by Keller. Excellent execution. Mitch Moreland goes 3-6-3 for the double play, and there are now 2 outs with the winning run at third, and Jimmy Rollins coming up.
Great play by Mitch Moreland. Keone Keller made a pitch when he needed to make it. Got Callaspo to roll over to first base. Two-hopper right to Mitch. Took him to his right just a little bit. Had the momentum. Made a nice throw to Elvis. He made sure he made a good throw and was able to get back and take first base himself. Keller was over covering, but Mitch was able to get back and cover it himself, and you'd rather have that first baseman get there if he can. Perfect double play.
Very nicely done. So 2 huge outs. And now 1 more to get to send this into bonus baseball time. First pitch to Rollins, in for a strike. Jimmy Rollins singled his last time up. 1 for 3 this evening. 7 career walk-off hits with the Phillies. Keone from a stretch. In the dirt, swung on and missed. Nice block by Chirinos. No balls and 2 strikes.
Keller throwing that breaking ball. If you're a pitcher and you've got a breaking ball like this and you like to bounce it, you've got to have the ultimate confidence in your catcher that he can block that ball and keep the winning run from scoring at third base.
0-2 to Rollins. Going outside. Rollins an average at an even 200. 18 RBI. Kike Hernandez, the pinch runner, down at third base with 2 outs. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We'll try it again. Rollins, one of the better high ball hitters, has a left-handed batter up there. Kind of a slap hitter. Typically guys who do that like the ball up a little bit.
If I'm going to go up there, I'm probably going to throw it over his head.
Yeah. And a chopper foul. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Keone Keller forced to one of the low 20s pitches in this inning. 21 up now. He's got Kike Hernandez over there at third. Hernandez running for Yasmani Grandal, the catcher, who walked to open up the inning. 2 outs and a 1-2 count to Jimmy Rollins. A balk is called, and that is going to be a game winner. Keller noticed Hernandez coming down the line and balked. It becomes a walk-off balk. Oh, my.
You don't see that happen too often.
Well, there was no hesitation. Home plate umpire Marvin Hudson saw it, and he immediately threw his hands up, motioned for Hernandez to come on down home. And the Dodgers win it 1-0 on a walk-off balk. Kike Hernandez, watch what happens now as Gela sets. Right there.
Ah, that little flinch.
Yep. Gela said he notices Hernandez coming down the line. And it was too late. The hands had already started to move, that little flinch, a little reaction flinch, and that's all it took. Here it is again.
There it is.
Yep, right there.
Tough way to lose a ball game.
It sure is. Well, the Dodgers eke out a win, a 1-0 victory over the Rangers with a walk-off balk in the 9th inning. 1-0 the final. We'll come back to wrap things up from Dodger Stadium right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.